Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our February 7th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students, lesson 38. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. There is nothing, no, nothing my holiness cannot do. Oh, there's nothing, oh, nothing my holiness cannot do. I was just singing a little song. I was just coming into me, so I was right before I had this this class, and that's kind of what's reverberating in my mind. I always like to read my lesson right before I share it with you, and just kind of I picked up my guitar and played that little song. There is nothing, no, nothing my holiness cannot do. No, nothing my holiness cannot do. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. Your holiness Your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. Your holiness is totally unlimited in its power because it establishes you as a son of God, at one with the mind of His Creator. Wow, your holiness establishes you in the mind of God, or as a son of God, at one with the mind of the Creator. Through your holiness, the power of God is made manifest. Through your holiness, the power of God is made available. And there is nothing the power of God cannot do. Your holiness, then, can remove all pain, can end all sorrow, and can solve all problems. It can do so in connection with yourself and with anyone else. It is equal in its power to help anyone because it is equal in its power to save anyone. Remember how yesterday's lesson that he said, think about other people or yourself, that what your holiness, what is it called? That my holiness blesses the world. And he said, try not to make the distinctions between what you consider yourself and what you consider your brother or sister, that is yourself. And he said, just let the blessing fall to all. So with that in mind today, he's saying your holiness then can remove all pain, can end all sorrow, and can solve all problems. It can do so in connection with yourself and with anyone else. It is equal in its power to help anyone because it is equal in its power to save anyone. If you are holy, so is everything God created. We're all part of the one God. We're all part of the one. You are holy because all things He created are holy. God didn't make junk. And all things He created are holy because you are. All things He created are holy because you are. In today's exercises, we will apply the power of your holiness to all problems, difficulties, or suffering in any form that you happen to think of in yourself or someone else. We will make no distinctions because there are no distinctions. In the 4 longer practice periods, each preferably to last a full 5 minutes, repeat the idea for today. Close your eyes and then search your mind for any sense of loss or unhappiness of any kind as you see it. Try to make as little distinction as possible between a situation that is difficult for you and one that is difficult for someone else. Identify the situation specifically and also the name of the person concerned. Use this form in applying the idea for today. In the situation involving blank in which I see myself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. Or, in the situation involving blank in which blank sees himself or herself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. All right? In the situation in which blank sees himself, or one sees myself, one sees himself or herself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. From time to time, you may want to vary this procedure and add some relevant thoughts of your own. You might like, for example, to include thoughts such as, there is nothing my holiness cannot do because the power of God lies in it. Introduce whatever variations appeal to you, but keep the exercises focused on the theme, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. The purpose of today's exercises is to begin to instill in you a sense that you have dominion over all things because of what you are. You're a creator, created in the image of God. In the frequent shorter applications, apply the idea in its original form, unless a specific problem concerning you or someone else arises or comes to mind. In that event, use the more specific form of application. Okay, in the frequent shorter applications, apply the idea in its original form, which there is nothing my holiness cannot do, unless a specific problem concerning you or someone else arises or comes to mind. So if you just all of a sudden think of a problem, well, then apply it to the problem. Or if something actually is happening in your physical experience and you've interpreted it as a need for help, or you see it as a need for help, well, then use this particular quick remedy on it. In that event, use the more specific form of application. It says that concerning you or someone else arises or comes to mind, then just use the specific form, which is, in the situation involving blank in which blank sees himself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do, or in the situation involving blank in which I see myself, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. So take that with you, and that's go deep with it, and do your best at thinking about it throughout the day, as well as those 4 or 5 minute periods today. Okay. All right. Now let's go take a look at our text reading, and we kind of got abruptly ended yesterday. Sorry about all that confusion. I put a sign on the door, recording in session now, so hopefully people wait just a few minutes and know what I'm doing. Most anybody that comes here, I was my brother yesterday. They all know I do this every day, and so he would have waited a few minutes, I'm sure. Okay, and the dog. Anyway, let's see. We're ready for, in chapter 12, the problem of guilt. And we're in section 3, the fear of redemption. And we ended, the last thing we read, and you barely could hear it with all the confusion at my end, and it is this that frightens you. Well, we're going to go back and we'll read that paragraph. And matter of fact, let's just read it right now. Unless you're still turning there. Just go ahead and turn there. While you're turning there, let me read to you a pepper or two that I'd really like to plant this year. These Wisconsin lakes, developed in 1950 at the University of Wisconsin at Madison by Professor O.B. Combs. This variety is a great choice for an early maturing bell pepper. Reliable yields of thick-walled 4 to 6 ounce fruits ripen from green to red, and it's a 75 to 85 days from transplant. So that's a Wisconsin lake bell pepper. And then another one that I'd probably like to read, and it's called the Aurora. I've seen these at different. I saw one at it was a Thai restaurant. They had these outside as you walked up to it down Fayetteville, and they were called Aurora. Well, grow these peppers where they will be noticed. Fruits ripen from lavender, deep purple to orange, and finally to red. This incredibly ornamental variety produces peppers that are held upright on small statured plants. The very showy and flavorful small fruits grow dwarf, a size which makes Aurora perfect for containers. 60 to 75 days from transplant, medium hot. And they made a lot of peppers, and I ate them, and they were good peppers. I just went ahead and got a plant. And anyway, had it growing for the rest of that year in the pot. Don't recall its demise. Okay, now let's go take a look at demise. Okay, there's nothing my holiness cannot do. Let's see if I can get that light to where it's not quite as bright on you. And here we go. We're just going to pretty much read these next 2 pages and finish this, and I might say a few things as we go along. You have built your whole insane belief system because you think you would be helpless in God's presence, and you would save yourself from his love because you think it would crush you into nothingness. This is paragraph 14, by the way, under this section. For you believe that magnitude lies in defiance and attack in grandeur. You think you have made a world which God would destroy, and by loving him, which you do, you would throw this world away, which you would. Therefore, you have used the world to cover your love. And the deeper you go into the blackness of the ego's foundation, the closer you come to the love that is hidden there. And it is this that frightens you. Whoa. You're getting frightened because you're getting ready to get through the ego's foundation and see what's underneath it, which was your first, your decision to separate, your first moment of change, that you thought you might want to be apart from your Creator and created without consideration of the whole. For some reason, you thought of autonomy of the self as more important than the realization of the wholeness of self. But that's what the ego built on, that idea. You can accept insanity, paragraph 15. You can accept insanity because you made it, but you cannot accept love because you did not. You would rather be slaves of the crucifixion than sons of God in redemption, for your individual death is more valued than your living oneness, and what is given you is not so dear as what you made. You are more afraid of God than of the ego, and love cannot enter where it is not welcome, but hatred can, for it enters of its will and cares not for yours. The reason you must look upon your delusions and not keep them hidden is that they do not rest on their own foundation. In concealment, they appear to do so, and thus they seem to be self-sustained. This is the fundamental illusion on which they rest. For beneath them and concealed as long as they are hidden is the loving mind that thought it made them in anger. Underneath the ego is the power of the mind, the loving mind that thought it made them in anger. And the pain in the mind is so apparent when it is uncovered that its need of healing cannot be denied. Not all the tricks and games you offer it can heal it, for here is the real crucifixion of God's Son. I would say read that sentence or two many times until it really settles in. That's what I need to do. I'll just tell you what I need to do. And yet he is not crucified. He is both his pain and his healing, for the Holy Spirit's vision is merciful and his remedy is quick. Do not hide suffering from his sight, but bring it gladly to him. Lay before his eternal sanity all your hurt, and let him heal you. Do not leave any spot of pain hidden from his sight, and search your minds carefully for any thoughts which you may fear to uncover. For he will heal every little thought which you have kept to hurt you, and cleanse it of its littleness, restoring it to the magnitude of God. Isn't that, you see, there's our motivation, is that we just know that it's better to live in the kingdom of heaven and be a child of light than it is to hold on to any foundations of darkness. We just want to walk with the Spirit as our guide, the Holy One, the Holy Spirit. Paragraph 18, beneath all your grandiosity, which you hold so dear, is the real call for help. For you call for love to your Father, as your Father calls you to himself. In that place which you have hidden, you will only to unite with the Father in loving remembrance of him. You will find this place of truth as you see it in your brothers. For though they may deceive themselves, like you, they long for the grandeur that is in them. And perceiving it, you will welcome it, and it will be yours. For grandeur is the right of God's Son, and no illusions can satisfy him or save him from what he is. Only his love is real, and he will be content only with his reality. Whoa, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? We might just stop right there and go back and take a look. I was going to finish reading that today it's not been 15. I could just quickly read through it. Then we'd be ready to move on. But I also feeling kind of a importance of just taking a small amount and letting it settle in. Let's at least read one more paragraph, paragraph 19. Save him from his illusions, that you may accept the magnitude of your Father in peace and joy. But exempt no one from your love, or you will be hiding a dark place in your mind where the Holy Spirit is not welcome. And you will exempt yourself from his healing power, for by not offering total love, you will not be healed completely. Healing must be as complete as fear, for love cannot enter where there is one spot of fear to mar its welcome. And I'm going to go ahead and read it now. Now that we're doing it, I can see that it is good. You who prefer specialness to sanity could not obtain it in your right minds. You were at peace until you asked for special favor, and God did not give it. For the request was alien to him, and you could not ask this of a father who truly loved his son. Therefore you made of him an unloving father, demanding of him what only such a father could give. And the peace of God's Son was shattered, for he no longer understood his father. He feared what he had made, but still more did he fear his real father, having attacked his own glorious equality with him. In peace he needed nothing and asked for nothing. In war he demanded everything and found nothing. Let's read that one again. In peace he needed nothing and asked for nothing. In war he demanded everything and found nothing. For how could the gentleness of love respond to his demands except by departing in peace and returning to the Father? If the Son did not wish to remain in peace, he could not remain at all. For a darkened mind cannot live in the light, and it must seek a place of darkness where it can believe it is where it is not. God did not allow this to happen. Yet you demanded that it happen and therefore believed that it was so. In the last paragraph, to single out is to make alone, and thus make lonely. God did not do this to you. Could he set you apart, knowing that your peace lies in his oneness? He denied you only your request for pain, for suffering is not of his creation. Having given you creation, he could not take it from you. He could but answer your insane request with a sane answer, which would abide with you in your insanity. And this he did. No one who hears his voice but will give up insanity. For his answer is the reference point beyond illusions, which you can look back on them and see them as insane. But seek this place and you will find it, for love is in you and will lead you there. Wow, isn't that? Let's look at that last sentence again, the last two sentences maybe, or three. For his answer is the reference point. His answer is the reference point beyond illusions, from which you can look back on them and see them as insane. From the Holy Spirit's point of reference was the answer, the answer from God when we requested an insane request. He gave us the answer, which is the Holy Spirit's perception. For his answer is the reference point beyond illusions, from which you can look back on them and set them and see them as insane. But seek this place and you will find it. But seek this place. The reason I'm stopping here on this for a moment is because I want you to camp out on this place until you've got it. Seek this place and you will find it. For love is in you and will lead you there. For love is in you and will lead you to this place. So, for his answer is the reference point beyond illusions, from which you can look back on them and see them as insane. But seek this place and you will find it. For love is in you and will lead you there. So, isn't that beautiful? All right, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. There is absolutely, absolutely nothing my holiness, my holiness cannot do. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And till tomorrow, let that build a momentum in your mind. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. And allow that holiness to be a constant reminder and assistance to you. When you lose your peace for a moment, ask for, well, hold it now. There's nothing my holiness cannot do. I need to look at this differently. I need a miracle right now, and you'll get it that quick. All right? There is nothing my holiness cannot do. Thank you again for joining me. And until tomorrow, there is nothing my holiness cannot do.